The bad faith involved in the way that extremist veterans cased me and were involved in what happened to me shows that there are unhinged concepts in American society that make it very difficult to navigate pride of place as a civilian. Now, we all know that Toon mocked a disabled reporter and that Reagan threw the TTY out of the Oval Office. Those are old stories. TTY is the machine that used to be used to talk to the deaf. Get it out of here, they say, he said. You know, a Jewish girl from Harvard who I met at the governor's school had pride of place in showing how gullible I am, that she convinced me to try to enlist in the Army. I registered for the draft, but I made an amendment proclamation on the edge saying that I don't remember what I said. I'm probably something along the lines of the Nuremberg principles. But anyway, I was 9 years old and being taken on peace marches, and then I had been tortured when I was 11 or 12 and was deaf, so I was bound to have strange ideas. But I was a civilian. The Army did reject me, and the idea that somehow I was owed my loyalty to the extreme right-wing veterans that followed me around colleges and so forth is just a bizarre ROTC secret society. When I say code red about it, I mean from the movie with Jack Nicholson, who played the villain. The code red was used as a symbol of some sort of mysterious poison that killed somebody. I mean, I've seen the term glorified by Extinction Rebellion around the time of COVID-19, but that's not. Yeah, people quote, you can't handle the truth, forgetful that those were the words of the villain. So they smushed a lot of ugly truths, a lot of things like what's going on in Gaza. They don't care about our own children. They wouldn't do this to the minds of our own children if they did. But they carry on about how they're family men with traditional values. It's just sickening. But since I was loyal to Kennedy and was from the real old Navy and had an intellectual father who was important, who observed that Vietnam was being conducted in a disgraceful way, which made him enemies hither and thither, who attacked me as a child and justified it and so on. This is the concatenation of American society coming unhinged. I'm not eligible for the draft. I'm deaf. I'm not subject to military conscription because I'm a civilian. Military Court of Justice doesn't apply. Well, they invented a war game called Two Virgins Pussy Ball, which is the wry allusion of Nosferatu to Israel being the most moral army. Like AIDS was a moralizing mission based on Two Virgins Pussy Ball. And Obama went for it, Clinton went for it, Biden went for it, all of these jokers went for it. They tortured a child who they dragged around the peace marches and took the hair and introduced to Mick Ronson, Frank Zappa and stuff when he couldn't even remember what had happened. It was neuroplastically sealed. He was deaf, and the trauma was too great. Imagine being one of these 5-year olds waking up with no arms and one foot. It's pretty serious trauma. And they moralize about abortion while they're successively subjecting the persona to successive degradations of the X motive so they can subsume him into a larger structure dominated by the adversary, which is Pope Carl. And this is the slave-like society that military Catholicism built in Pittsburgh and engulfed me with letters saying things like Ono Fang looming and forcing me to ingest nerve agents that were designed with special secret formulas that kept them invisible while they battered me in the cranium. It's like Colin McGinnis, absolute beginner, says, if you're not careful, they're going to use you for an experiment. Like nothing could be less surprising. And you take it that people were mature. I mean, Nixon, I didn't like him, but I didn't think he was capable of overt genocide. I wouldn't have thought that of him. It seemed to me that he was with Eisenhower, right? Well, so was my father. Daddy King wanted to vote for Eisenhower because Eisenhower seemed more progressive and advocating for both sides of the race divide. And it is true that there's a logical continuity from Eisenhower to Kennedy. Eisenhower was a military general who was loyal to FDR. You may not understand that in this day and age, but you would think that the checks and balances would be enough that a girl whose mother was a magistrate and Jewish, which meant they had a lot of esteem attached to their standing in the community. My dentist was Jewish. My stepmother was Jewish. My brother was Jewish. My doctors were Jewish. Would not be conscripting by poison pen letters into an enormity. That's what you would think. You would think that the Seattle left was not playing Rosemary's Baby about it. That's what you would think. But if you did think that, you would be as wrong as I was. And they had me as a voodoo doll for a while. They had me as a sacrificial token. They had me as a flake who was out for nothing but gratification of the senses. They had me as a glue-sniffing car thief. They had me as a reckless driver around school buses. And they wrote about it constructing a persona, Pope Carl put in his letters. They were just cut and pasting things together and saying any far-out thing that they could get away with. And then Yoko Ono came in and said, I buy it. And Oliver Stone says, I buy it. That's all psychologically consistent. And Robert Fripp holds his nose and drops his pick. And they say, of the myriad of the Shamish and Vespers, this is a very special incantation from the Swami Nostra of the Gurdjieff Cluck. The myriad of the Shamish and the Vespers. We believe the Taliban of the sacred Kabbalah in the magic 8-ball, held by none other than Pope Levin, Rabbi Levin. famous mysterious Chinese leaven. Says we get to rape Deaf Genie to cleanse the atmosphere and clear the air. So they do so. And then they say, come to the Seattle safe zone where you will get protection from abuse. And how do they justify it? Well, they have old fraternity bunkmates working with the bomb on military drone warfare who say he's made me twist my ankle. Officer, sir, yes, sir. General, he made me twist my ankle with the Mr. Potato Head doll. Literally. And that proves that conscientious objection is a satanic ritual to their minds. And to prove it, they contract a girl to give me her virginity. Isn't that cute? That's so cute. Oh, and they get away with it. They get to them. That shows that America is only fit for concubinage to a dictator, and they want to be beaten like a woman into faithfulness. And they put things up on the elevator like beat me, make me write bad checks, and hide here under my cloak. And it's a Zionist faction who's burning girls' arms gangrenous from Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, holding sway in places like Seattle. Literally, it can't be naysayed, and they bring in Putin. He's going to help this, the Stradivarius wielder's rejection in a neurocoma. Sporting conscientious objection fantasies by having a private conversation with Elon Musk and advising Brian Eno, who's enjoying some coke with his supper. These are the politics of these people who have done this thing where judges just say, well, you know, they took away somebody who wasn't even an immigrant, put him in El Salvadoran prison. Well, that's all obviously. I'm just sick about it, says the Supreme Court. Oh, when I wake up tomorrow, I think I'll have a hanky handy. The people who did this neglected to teach in schools. They neglected to bring forward their rough edge observations. They could have said there's something Hollywood likes to demonstrate. They like to do things by proceeding as thusly. So they bring on somebody named Dr. Benjamin Spock, a child psychologist, and have him consider running for president with Martin Luther King. Spock, it is highly illogical. Child, nonviolence. Oh, Spock, it is highly illogical to believe that abortion is nonviolence. Instead, they have these like peep show, guerrilla theater representations in Jet magazine and so on that show an image, a split screen image of two women who look like one image, look like Coretta. One of them seems to be a widow. And it's a two-timing image, right? And they have King bisected in this Jet magazine. So the King was nearly done in by Azula Curry, who tried to stab him in the heart with a letter opener, right? Maybe it was concatenation of the android zone because he wrote a love letter to someone who J. Edgar Hoover peekabooed on him about. But whatever went on, it was an zany fundamentalist mission to say the military must take measures in secret against the violation of the laws of God that come with birth control. That's obvious. Then they didn't even propose discussing these matters in a way that it could be avoided through civil representation of values in education before growing children entering pubescence. No, they attacked me blindside with fully grown armed men in stolen cars and gassed me. And there was several Donald units. Donald Gruber, which is Gruber like Schlickel Gruber, it's half of Adolf Hitler's maiden name. Donald Finnegan, we're going to have fun again. Donald Osho, ooh. Don units. It was Ronnie and Catherine units. I was a Jimmy C unit. They wouldn't even consider thinking about being reasonable about any of it. Because they had a special military adventure that Pope Carl had sanctified. And it was going to make everybody feel good. It was going to make the gays feel good about getting over on a little boy. They were going to make the lesbians feel good about rubbing it in the face of a wuss. They were going to make the Jews feel good, etc., etc., etc.